The sprawling metropolis of Zorblax 4 shimmered under the light of its twin suns, a beacon in the vast expanse of the universe, inviting beings from every corner of the cosmos. At the heart of this interstellar crossroad was the Great Galactic Zoo, a monumental testament to the galaxy's biodiversity, where creatures both benign and formidable were displayed in carefully crafted simulacra of their native habitats. On this seemingly ordinary day, a palpable buzz of excitement mingled with an undercurrent of tension among the zoo's patrons. Word had spread like wildfire through the intergalactic grapevine about a new exhibit, something unprecedented in the zoo's illustrious history. They were about to unveil a human monster, a being from a distant and relatively obscure planet called Earth. The human, known as Jake, stepped out of his spacecraft, a lone figure against the backdrop of Zorblax 4's bustling spaceport. Clad in a specially designed suit that mimicked Earth's atmosphere, Jake was an anomaly among the zoo's usual attendees and inhabitants. His presence was a stark contrast to the vibrant hues and varied forms of the alien visitors, making him an instant object of fascination and wary scrutiny. As Jake made his way toward the Great Galactic Zoo, his mind was a whirlwind of anticipation and apprehension. He had agreed to this visit as part of a cultural exchange, a gesture of goodwill from Earth to the broader galactic community. Yet, as he approached the zoo's grand entrance, flanked by towering statues of Zorblax 4's most revered species, he couldn't shake off a growing sense of unease. Inside the zoo, the atmosphere was electric. Beings of all shapes and sizes, some floating, others crawling or walking, thronged the pathways, their eyes and sensory appendages occasionally drifting toward Jake. The zoo itself was a marvel of technology and nature intertwined, with vast domes housing different biomes, from the lush, oxygen-rich forests of Xylophia to the arid, mineral-laden deserts of Sartanis. Jake's first stop was the aquatic section, a colossal dome filled with creatures from the watery depths of various worlds. He watched in awe as a school of bioluminescent fish from Aquarelia danced in harmony, their light patterns a mesmerizing ballet. Yet as he pressed his hand against the glass, a ripple of discomfort passed through the creatures. They scattered, their lights dimming as if repelled by his touch. The realization that he was as much an exhibit as the creatures he observed began to dawn on Jake. The zoo's patrons weren't just there to see the exotic animals, they were there to see him, the human monster. His interactions with the exhibits were met with curious stares and whispered comments, a reminder of his outsider status. As Jake continued his journey through the zoo, his sense of isolation deepened. The exhibits, sentient beings in their own right, seemed to regard him with a mixture of curiosity and wariness. In the aviary dome, a flock of winged creatures from the gas giant Vesparia took flight en masse as he approached, their melodic chirps turning to distressed cacophony. But it was in the botanical garden, amidst the towering flora of a dozen worlds, that Jake's unease turned to revelation. Hidden in the underbrush, he found a small, cowering creature, its eyes filled with fear. It was a juvenile Graxonian, a species known for their empathic abilities. As their eyes met, a flood of emotions washed over Jake. Fear, confusion, a longing for home. It was a mirror of his own feelings, a silent plea for understanding and compassion. The encounter with the Graxonian child was a turning point for Jake. He realized that the zoo, for all its educational pretenses, was a prison for these beings, torn from their homes and displayed for entertainment. His role as an ambassador from Earth took on a new, urgent purpose. He wasn't just there to represent humanity. He was there to advocate for those without a voice, to challenge the status quo of this galactic hub of culture and commerce. As the suns of Zorblax 4 began to set, casting a golden glow over the zoo, Jake's resolve solidified. Tomorrow he would not just be a passive observer. He would be a catalyst for change, challenging the very nature of this institution, and sparking a conversation that could ripple across the galaxy. But first he needed to understand more, to connect with these beings on a deeper level. He needed allies in this strange new world, and he had to act fast. The stage was set for a confrontation that would shake the foundations of Zorblax 4 and challenge the perceptions of its diverse inhabitants. Jake, the human monster, was about to embark on a journey that would redefine his role in the cosmos, a testament to the power of empathy and the unanticipated impact of a single individual, human or otherwise, in a vast and interconnected universe. The second day of Jake's visit began under the twin suns of Zorblax 4, casting long shadows across the grand architectures of the zoo. With the previous day's revelations weighing heavily on him, Jake's mission had evolved. He was no longer just a visitor. He was an observer, a potential liberator. His every step through the zoo was now charged with a new purpose: to understand, to empathize, and to find a way to help. As Jake moved through the different biomes, his interactions with the beings were marked by a subtle shift. Armed with the insight gained from his connection with the Graxonian child, he approached each enclosure with a mix of caution and compassion. The creatures, sensing his intent, responded in kind. A silent dialogue ensued, an exchange of feelings and memories, transcending the barriers of language and biology. In the arid desert dome, Jake encountered a Sartanian reptile, its scales shimmering in the heat. As their eyes met, Jake felt a surge of the creature's memories. A vast open desert under a scorching sun, the freedom of movement, the joy of living. The stark contrast between those memories and the creature's current confinement struck a chord in Jake. The Sartanian's gaze, once wary, softened, acknowledging the shared understanding. But it wasn't just the creatures that were taking note of Jake's actions. The zoo's staff, a mix of various species themselves, began to observe him with a mix of curiosity and concern. Whispers spread among them, noting the unusual behavior of the exhibits in Jake's presence. A Zorblaxian keeper with eyes that shimmered like the surface of a nebula approached Jake with a polite but firm inquiry, asking about his intentions. Jake, realizing the need for allies, explained his newfound perspective. He spoke of the connections he had formed, the emotions he had shared with the creatures. To his surprise, the keeper nodded, a gesture of understanding crossing the boundaries of species. "There are others like you," the keeper revealed. "Those among us who question, who feel the weight of our responsibilities." Encouraged by this unexpected alliance, Jake delved deeper into the inner workings of the zoo. He learned of the intricate balance of needs and politics, of the challenges of conservation and education against the backdrop of entertainment and profit. But beneath the operational veneer, he sensed a growing undercurrent of dissent, a shared unease that mirrored his own. As the day progressed, Jake's journey took him to the underwater dome, a place of serene beauty and hidden sorrow. Here he encountered a creature from the depths of Aquarelia, a being of fluid grace and hidden strength. Their exchange was profound, a mingling of minds that left Jake reeling with visions of underwater cities, of currents and songs that spanned the ocean's expanse. It was here, in the muted light of the underwater dome, that Jake's purpose crystallized. He wasn't just a catalyst for change. He was part of a larger movement, a collective awakening to the need for empathy and respect across all forms of life. The creatures of the zoo, each in their own way, were reaching out, seeking allies in their silent struggle for recognition and freedom. As the second day drew to a close, Jake stood at the edge of the zoo, looking out over the cityscape of Zorblax 4. The twin suns dipped below the horizon, casting the sky in hues of purple and gold. Tomorrow he would take his final steps in this unexpected journey, armed with new allies and a plan that could change the fate of the beings within the zoo. But change is never without resistance, and Jake knew the path ahead would be fraught with challenges. As the stars began to twinkle in the twilight sky, he prepared himself for the final act of his visit, a day that would either mark the beginning of a new era for the zoo or a return to the status quo, with the added weight of failed hope. The stakes were high, and the eyes of countless beings, both within the zoo and beyond, were on him. The unraveling of the great Galactic Zoo had begun, and its conclusion was yet to be written. As the first light of Zorblax 4's twin suns pierced the morning sky, the great Galactic Zoo stirred with a palpable sense of anticipation. Jake, now a beacon of change within the zoo's walls, prepared to take his stand. With the allies he had garnered among the staff and the unspoken support of the zoo's inhabitants, a plan had been crafted, a plan as daring as it was dangerous. The day's agenda was to culminate in a grand demonstration, a showcase of the zoo's success in fostering intergalactic understanding and harmony. Dignitaries and beings from across the cosmos were to gather, expecting a celebration of the zoo's achievements. Little did they know that the event would serve as the stage for a profound statement on freedom and captivity. Jake's role was pivotal. As the so-called human monster, He was to be the centerpiece of the demonstration, a symbol of the zoo's purported mission to bridge worlds and cultures. Yet, under the guise of this performance, Jake and his allies had orchestrated a different kind of showcase. The day began with Jake moving through the zoo, visiting each of the beings he had connected with. To the casual observer, it seemed a routine tour, but with each visit, Jake was reaffirming his commitment to their cause, ensuring that the creatures knew their role in the impending act. As the hour of the demonstration approached, the zoo filled with visitors from across the galaxy. The air was electric with anticipation, the crowd oblivious to the unfolding drama. Jake took his position at the center of the main exhibit hall, surrounded by enclosures housing the zoo's most prominent inhabitants. The event commenced with grandiose speeches from the zoo's directors, lauding their efforts in conservation and education. Then, it was Jake's turn to speak. Stepping forward, he began not with the prepared script, but with an impromptu plea for empathy and understanding. His words, transmitted in multiple languages and telepathic waves, resonated through the crowd, stirring a spectrum of reactions. As Jake spoke, the keepers stationed at strategic points throughout the zoo initiated the next phase of the plan. Enclosure locks disengaged silently, doors swung open, and the beings within stepped out, not in aggression, but in a solemn march toward the exhibit hall. The crowd's initial reaction was one of confusion, then awe, and for some, fear. Beings of all forms converged on the hall, surrounding Jake in a silent show of solidarity. The Krillian Sentinel, with its imposing presence and telepathic prowess, stood by Jake, its intentions clear to all who could sense its thoughts. Jake's speech culminated in a call to action, not just for the beings of Zorblax 4, but for all the galaxy. "Look upon these creatures, these fellow beings," he implored, "and see not the other, but a reflection of ourselves, in all our diversity and complexity." The demonstration's climax was not a display of control or dominance, but a tableau of unity and shared purpose. The zoo's inhabitants, now free from their enclosures, mingled with the crowd, their actions gentle yet assertive, their message unmistakable. The reaction was immediate and varied. Some attendees responded with empathy, their perceptions forever altered. Others reacted with fear or indignation, uncomfortable with the challenge to their long-held beliefs. The zoo's directors were in disarray, their showcase turned on its head, their authority challenged in the most public of forums. Yet, amidst the chaos, a sense of liberation permeated the air. The beings of the zoo, for the first time in many cycles, tasted a semblance of the freedom they had been denied. And Jake, standing amid friends both old and new, knew that this was merely the beginning. The repercussions of the day's events would ripple across galaxies, igniting debates and inspiring movements. The great Galactic Zoo, once a symbol of division and captivity, had become a focal point for a conversation about respect, empathy, and freedom across the cosmos. As the sun set on Zorblax 4, the zoo's inhabitants, alongside Jake and his allies, faced an uncertain future. But for the moment, they basked in the victory of their rebellion, a testament to the power of unity and the unyielding spirit of all beings in pursuit of dignity and self-determination. The rebellion at the zoo was not just an end, but a beginning, a spark that would ignite flames of change across the universe. In the days following the rebellion at the great Galactic Zoo, Zorblax 4 became a focal point of galactic attention. The unexpected uprising had sparked a wildfire of debates, negotiations, and reflections across countless worlds. For the zoo's inhabitants, now free from their enclosures but still within the confines of the zoo, a new kind of uncertainty dawned. Yet amid this uncertainty there was a palpable sense of hope. Jake, the catalyst of this unprecedented event, found himself at the heart of the ensuing maelstrom. His actions had elevated him from an oddity, a human monster, to a figurehead of a burgeoning movement advocating for the rights and dignities of all sentient beings. The immediate aftermath of the rebellion saw the zoo transformed. No longer just an exhibition space, it became a forum for dialogue and diplomacy. Representatives from various worlds and species convened at the zoo, not as spectators, but as participants in a historic summit on interspecies relations. The discussions were intense and multifaceted, delving into the complexities of autonomy, conservation, and the ethics of captivity. Jake, alongside the Krillian Sentinel and other key figures from the rebellion, played a central role in these talks, sharing their perspectives and experiences to bridge understanding between disparate beings. Amidst the diplomatic efforts, the zoo's inhabitants began to explore their newfound freedom. The open enclosures served as symbolic thresholds, inviting them to step out and engage with others on their own terms. The once restricted creatures roamed the zoo's expansive grounds, interacting with visitors and each other in a display of curiosity and camaraderie. However, the path to true freedom was fraught with challenges. The logistical complexities of repatriating the zoo's diverse inhabitants to their native worlds, or for some finding new homes where they could thrive, were daunting. There were also legal and political hurdles to navigate, as the implications of the rebellion rippled through the galactic community, challenging established norms and treaties. Throughout this period of transition, Jake remained a steadfast advocate for the beings he had come to regard as friends and equals. His bond with the Krillian Sentinel deepened, the two sharing a silent understanding that transcended their different origins. As the summit progressed, a groundbreaking charter emerged, outlining principles of interspecies respect, autonomy, and cooperation. The zoo itself was reimagined, transforming from a place of captivity to a sanctuary and educational center, where beings could choose to visit, share, and learn from one another, in an environment grounded in mutual respect. The day came when the first group of beings, those whose home worlds had been identified and deemed safe, prepared to depart. It was a bittersweet moment for Jake and the others who had shared this journey. Each farewell was a testament to the bonds formed amidst the struggle, a reminder of the shared experiences that had united them. Jake, too, faced a crossroads. His actions on Zorblax 4 had changed him, imbuing his mission with a purpose that extended far beyond his initial diplomatic objectives. As he looked out over the transformed zoo, now buzzing with a vibrant mix of beings engaging freely, he knew his journey was far from over. In the aftermath of the rebellion, Jake decided to continue his work, advocating for interspecies understanding and cooperation. His next steps would take him beyond Zorblax 4 into the broader galaxy, where the seeds of change planted at the zoo were beginning to sprout. And so, as the twin sons of Zorblax 4 set on this chapter of the zoo's history, a new chapter was beginning, not just for the zoo, but for the galaxy at large. The human monster had sparked a movement, challenging beings across the stars to reconsider their views on life, freedom, and the shared destiny of the cosmos. The great Galactic Zoo, once a symbol of division, had become a beacon of hope, a testament to the power of empathy and the unbreakable bonds of shared existence in an ever-expanding universe. If you liked this story, please click on the like and subscribe button that motivates me to make the stories better. When we reach 1,000 subscribers, I will post a video as a token of appreciation.